Hello, and welcome to part 6 of What is the Soul? I had previously said that the soul is composed of two things, pure consciousness and light. The purpose of this talk is to seek out this pure form of consciousness and see how it relates to you. If we can understand what pure consciousness is and where it comes from, we may be able to understand ourselves much better. Some scientists have put forth the idea that the source for everything in the universe is not matter, but consciousness. There has to be a source for everything. All of this has to come from somewhere, right? This means that you and everyone else is a part of this ultimate source, whatever it is. And this also means that the New Age idea of everything being connected is, on some deep scientific level, a totally true statement. A deist would say that the source for everything, God, created it all, and has now stepped back to allow everything to play out without any further involvement. But I'm saying that this source is part of us all. It's with us all and can therefore be found. This ultimate source is something that we've totally lost touch with, but is there. A few have found it, but mankind in general has not. We have no clue as we chase our little problems around in daily life, completely unaware that just under the surface is a powerful force that could not only awaken us, but guide us and answer all of our questions. This force is pure consciousness. The ancient sage Lao Tzu explained it by saying, "There is something mysterious and whole which existed before heaven and earth, silent, formless, complete, and never changing. Living eternally, everywhere in perfection, it is the mother of all things." Plotinus called this great force the One. And when it existed before heaven and earth, as Lao Tzu states, it was all those things, silent, formless, complete, and never changing. It was whole and perfect. Nothing was needed. It had everything except a purpose. According to Plotinus and the Neoplatonists, this great oneness was conscious but stagnant. Nothing was moving. Nothing was happening which could otherwise provide a way for this consciousness to express itself, to be creative, or to understand itself. But its singular form was all there was at the time. With nothing to compare itself to, there was no way to know exactly who or what it was. It was conscious, but not self-conscious. So its purpose became to know itself. In order to know itself, it needed to give up its wholeness, its oneness, its perfection, and bring forth a multiplicity of things to explore. So we had, about 13.7 billion years ago, the Big Bang. Scientists will tell you that the Big Bang came from a central point, about the size of a peach, and created the entire universe. Max Planck, a German physicist who was the originator of quantum theory and won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1918, once said, "All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind, mind with a capital M. This mind is the matrix of all matter." So, beginning with Planck, we have the modern scientific idea that consciousness, not matter, is the basic building block of the universe, which echoes Lao Tzu and Plotinus, among other ancient mystics. To take it further, a physics professor, Amit Goswami, PhD, mentions two scientific experiments that prove a powerful consciousness exists and works behind the scenes. The first was published in Physical Review Letters in 1982. 2 photons of light were emitted out of an atom in opposite directions, even though there was no possible way set up for these photons to communicate with each other. They were shown to exert an influence on each other's behavior instantaneously, with no time lag whatsoever, even from a distance. Because there was no way to signal each other and they communicated faster than light, instantaneously, These subatomic particles suggest that a form of consciousness is involved and could be the ground of all being. So these were just photons, you might say. How does this relate to me? The other experiment was done with people who ended up acting exactly like the photons. The results were published in Physics Essays in 1994. 2 people were put into a room and asked to close their eyes and meditate together for about 30 minutes. No communication was allowed during or after this process. Before starting, each was asked to create a direct feeling of oneness with each other during the meditation. They were also asked to continue cultivating this direct feeling of oneness between them after the meditation session ended, and to do this without any outward actions or words. Immediately after the session ended, each was put into a separate Faraday cage, which are metallic enclosures that block all electromagnetic signals from entering or leaving. Both were hooked up to EEG machines, which record electrical brainwave activity. One meditator was then exposed to a series of flickering light signals that was recorded onto an EEG graph. The other meditator had no knowledge of this setup. However, at the exact moment this happened, meditator number 2 experienced an almost identical brainwave pattern on their EEG readout. This experiment was repeated with other subjects, and as long as the 2 meditators maintained their feeling of oneness with each other, they continued to transfer the same wave patterns between them, same brainwave patterns over and over again in about 1 in 4 of the cases studied. That's still amazing. With control groups that did not meditate together, or with those not asked to maintain a oneness connection, there was no correlation in brainwave activity at all. So, the first experiment showed an unusually powerful form of consciousness in light when it shouldn't be there, in photons. And the second shows some kind of an amazing consciousness present between minds, also when it shouldn't be there. But in both cases, we have proof that this consciousness is there. I recommend Goswami's book called The Self-Aware Universe, How Consciousness Creates the Material World, for those interested in exploring this further. Something is the source for all there is, and we are beginning to find that it is the very consciousness of God, of which we are a part of and play a major role. This immensely huge universe has shown itself to be a hologram. So we have that same design within us. It's all here within us, the all and everything, if we just learn how to look. All of our cells have a nucleus in the middle with atoms that rotate around them, just like our solar system, and just like larger galaxies that rotate in the universe. We are designed like the universe itself, and each of our bodies are universes with billions of cells, just like the universe has billions of galaxies. We are walking prototypes of the universe with the functioning consciousness of God within us. Tell me that's not important. Scientists will tell you that the universe is a hologram that is conscious, so we in effect contain this consciousness of God. What's interesting is that the very core structure of reality, being this oneness, won't reveal itself openly. It's because this oneness was split into our dualistic system in order to explore itself. This is why quantum mechanics reveals reality to us on a deep level as either a particle or a wave, and it's been proven that how it's viewed is entirely dependent on the observer. And if this hidden God consciousness or pure consciousness is observing the world through you, then how you view it, as a particle or a wave, negative or positive, kind or hateful, with love or with violence, is hugely important. You have free will, and you have an important role in this world. The ancient Hindus called this reality Maya, or illusion. Based on quantum physics and how we see things, they're right. But it's an important illusion, one that we are here to understand. Everything has the consciousness of God within it, some things more than others. There are opposites like night and day, good and bad, hot and cold, up and down, so we can compare and learn as part of a larger consciousness that is experiencing everything to reach a full conscious understanding of itself. Saint Francis of Assisi once said, "What you are looking for is what is looking." And when one of us is able to find what is really looking and reach what is called God consciousness, they will go back to the source where one day everyone will return. But for now, we're here to learn. Now, let's go back to Lao Tzu's description of this great source of everything. He said that this mysterious thing that existed before heaven and earth was silent, formless, complete, and never changing. We have to ask, isn't the soul also described as being silent, formless, complete, and never changing? The soul has great wisdom if we can learn how to hear it. And if we are part of God, the soul must be that connection to God. This is why God is found within you, and no man-made religion is the ultimate answer. You have the ultimate answer. Your soul is within you and part of God. So stop looking all over the place out there for your answers. We have the entire key to the universe and the power of God within us. Yet we roam around the planet like a bunch of blind sheep, attacking each other, fighting over things out there like land, minerals, money, and different religious ideas. Right now, we're still learning, we're confused, and we are a pitiful, ignorant bunch, and will remain so until we finally get it. The amazing wisdom of God is right here within us, in our hearts, to be shared among us all if we would only look. We are all children of God. No one's better than anyone else, but most seem to believe that being a schoolyard bully in life makes you right, instead of finding one's inner truth. We still have a lot to learn, but I guess that's why we're here. We have to stop here, but we'll continue with this in our next talk. We'll see you then.